a moment that we're never going to forget here, and we've got the most amazing final guest for the session. We are going to be joined by one of the best leaders in the world of football globally, with a track record of success that is honestly second to none. She's currently the manager of Chelsea women's team, and she has, after joining them in 2012, 4 Women's Super League titles, 3 FA Cup titles, 2 League Cups. Last year saw Emma lead Chelsea to domestic treble while finishing runners-up in the Champions League. Her fantastic achievements saw her peers vote her Barclays FA Women's Super League LMA Manager of the Year 2021. It is my honour, it's our honour, putting our hands together for the most brilliant and wonderful Emma Hayes. Emma, come and join me, please. My daughter is the biggest Chelsea fan you've ever found. And the weekend, we bit our fingers down to the nail after a sending off in the first half, 1-1 against Tottenham, and yet it all turned out, not just okay, it turned out brilliantly. How did it feel for you as a leader sitting through that?
I thought, for fuck's sake. 70 minutes we have to go through, and I know the Tottenham assistants in the room. I think, like everything I've probably gained over 25 years of coaching, going inward isn't going to help the situation, but take a moment to reflect. And I turned to my assistant, who said, "What should we do?" And I said, "I just want to breathe for a minute, because we've got to make the right decisions." And from there, going for a sequence of doing whatever the team had to do at each stage, because you have to take that by stage. In fact, I started today's classroom session with a 4-minute video about zooming in on the behaviour of the bench and the players that were on the pitch directly after the sending off, to ask them what they were talking about. And then getting to half-time, making changes again, and having a dressing room that was run by the players. And I made a decision that whatever we do second half, we're going to agree upon it together, so everybody's in. How we're going to press, how we're going to find ways to win the game. We knew we had to win the game. The entire bench was completely ready at every point, and in a way that all I kept thinking about was, this has just been so much work behind the scenes, so many setbacks, so many failures, so many good matches, so many fights. People forget that part, especially the beginning of the seasons, when you're sitting down with your team and in the classroom and they're thinking, oh, here we go, another role reminder. But all that training you have to go through so that when the moment happens, you're all ready for it. It's one of the most profound coaching days for me, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole thing, to be honest with you. I felt really relaxed. And I said 3 things to myself when I walked out the dressing room at half time. And there were 3 strengths of mine. And that the top 3 were, I'm ambitious, I'm a risk taker, and I'm quick to act. And I kept repeating them in my head. I'd already made them decisions by making 2 subs, and subsequently what I was going to plot out for the last part. Of course, you need a myriad of situations to work out. Luck, the opponent, depending on what they do, managing the circumstances. But it was, hands down, it was one of the most enjoyable and exciting coaching days, even if I didn't know which way it was going to go. Nor did I care. I just have learned to become...
Really? You didn't care?
No, because they're going to feel my stress. So I don't get involved with that. I don't get involved with fourth officials or screaming at each other, or I like calm benches. Sometimes I have to get my assistant to, he gets a bit, sit down, relax.
But I could feel it, and I was watching it in our lounge. And now you say ambitious, risk taker, quick to act.
Yeah.
All those 3 came again and again in the second half.
Yeah, the team were tremendous, Medical team. One point in the second half, a player came over to me and she said, I don't know whether she's going to get off of the floor, but you need to take her out. And of course, that can go one or two ways, that. I'm always really conscious with a player that I say to them, I have no issue with you saying that, but make sure you say it in my earshot, because that can be taken a certain way.
Sure.
And at the end of the game, when the game ended, I walked over to the player and said, I appreciate that so much, because I have what we call a very blue team. And there's nothing worse, right? You get to the end of that game and you have a group that says, I wish we should have done this, should have done that. Or, so she came over and was like, we need to do this. I'll do that job, but you need to take her out. Because the player, to be fair, was injured. But decisive, I could then do my job. My job was easy. But the team around me, my staff, the players, the leaders throughout the team, just a great... I watched it back through the lens of a leader, not necessarily the coach, watching what we did tactically. And I was so proud of them. So proud.
So take us back a little bit. Team. You couldn't have said it more times today, and that's what you stand for. But choosing that team.
Yeah.
And it's not just the players, it's the wider team. You've got the medical team, you've got your bench team, you've got all of that. You know what your strengths are. How does that guide you to choose the team?
Diversity matters. It's critical. I think knowing where I'm not strong, make sure that surround myself with people who are better than me at lots of different things. I have to listen, have to hear everything all of the time. Got to take on so much information, but I don't want nodding dogs. I don't want to employ that. I want people who say to me, you didn't manage that very well, or we need to do this better, or will you look at this? I'm open-minded, so I think that's absolutely critical. But I also think you have to change it too. You can't get too stale with your staff. You have to... I've always actually led the staff and the players until recent years. It just got too much. I couldn't manage it. And I've worked with different people that are coming in to help manage that process. But review, reflect, refine, all of those things, they can't just happen at the beginning, the middle, the end. I think cultivated a culture over a long period of time, because I've been there 10 years, where we're reviewing and reflecting all of the time, daily. And I think just being conscious that because I've been there 10 years, how you can't get stale, and how I have to reflect on how much they've already heard from me and how they might need to hear from others, and how I need to evolve and adapt. But I do that in the off-season. My off-season for me is the time I step completely away and breathe.
I'm listening to you the way that everyone else is listening, carefully to every word. There's a combination here of some powerful ambition and confidence. But there's also, mixed in with that, a humility and selflessness.
I think that comes from the working class background. Like I come from a household of money on the table every Friday, and we used to count to, did we have enough? And next week might be a bit more. And I think my dad always, he had me working from the age of 12 or 13. We always had to have Saturday jobs. So I think hard work just had to do it. The humility piece, I'm not privileged. I come from an amazing council estate in Camden that I'm so blessed to have experienced, because I've my life lessons from there, and my joy, my play. I think being able to play in that surrounding was so safe and so creative and so risk-taking that I think that gave me the foundation to build upon a confident childhood.
The bit that I see, Emma, that always stands out for me is you have a myriad of different nationalities, backgrounds across the squad. But everyone you seem to have a friendly rapport and relationship with, but no one's in doubt who's in charge.
I know, but you don't have to walk around and say it all the time. That's what I say to people. Everyone knows that. So you don't have to go, oh, I'm the boss, or I'm, let other people lead, let other people find their space, support them to do that, but also do it within, I'm very much about putting together the right framework, the right structure, have clear principles, have clear methodology, have clear processes. And the more and more I've worked with top players, the more structure you must have. Creativity then can come from that. But that's got to be clear, otherwise then no one really knows where their boundaries are. And I have a lot of trust, but I think because you've got all of those parameters right around it, it allows other people to thrive.
From a leadership and coaching perspective, it doesn't sound... It sounds as though you've built this up over time. It feels novel, it feels radical, it feels different, but it's certainly successful. Where did it come from? How have you got to this stage where you can reel that off so comfortably, so straightforwardly?
I haven't got a clue, to be honest. I think to sit here and say that, oh, did I know I'd end up at this point? I always had belief that whatever I put my mind to, I would do it. But I didn't really want to be a football coach.
What did you want to be?
Spy. I'd love to have done that. I mean, I did have an academic background in European studies, Spanish and sociology and in intelligence and international affairs. So for me, I love strategy. That's what I love the most. So if you think about Sunday's game, crisis, I'm like, oh. It's boring otherwise. I like to solve situations when the heat's on. I don't mind the pressure. It doesn't worry me. I like working at how am I going to manage that? How am I going to manage the amygdala? How am I going to deal with two parts of my brain? How are my golems here and there? How am I going to listen when the stress is on, while the clock is ticking, while the voices are running around, not just internally, but externally. Like, I really enjoy that part. But I think it's come from just a life of amazing childhood, amazing play. I wasn't very academic, but I went to university. I think I started to enjoy reading, studying at that age. And I think from there, moving to America was just liberating. That was a game changer. What did that give you?
Because that was an important formative years for your football platform.
Well, you imagine, I mean, you've all touched upon it from what I've been hearing. My key years in the 20s, I was in a culture where, as a female in football, sitting alongside a competitor going for a job, a male competitor, I was always getting the job. So I never had the feeling, because of Title IX, I never had that sense of, oh, I'm not going to get it, or, this is my place as a woman here, or there's no opportunity for me. I left England because there weren't any, and then went into a culture where there wasn't a glass ceiling. There are different issues in America,
of course.
but not a glass ceiling in the same way there was here for women in football up until very recently, maybe the last 5 years, if that, last couple.
And what enticed you to come back? You were successful over there.
I miss my family. I miss Sunday roast. I did, I really did. You couldn't find it anywhere in Chicago or New York. It was like terrible. But I felt like, I got a phone call from Vic Akers, who was the Arsenal manager at the time. And they'd asked
An amazing manager.
Amazing guy in my life, who wanted me to come and coach his academy team, lead the academy team and be an assistant for the women's team that were already hugely successful. But they hadn't made the last stage of the Champions League and won that, and came home, and he allowed me to flourish, and I just coached the team while he managed. And and that suited him. He didn't want to coach. I didn't particularly care to manage, though I'm sure he'll say otherwise at some point. But we then led the team through successive rounds to win the Women's Champions League. And as an assistant, I shouldn't say this as the Chelsea member, but it's still my most profound memory.
Why?
Because I think maybe I grew up playing for Arsenal, and it was in my heart, in that regard.
How did Chelsea tempt you?
Mo Farah running the 5,000 metre race. And do you know what? I probably shouldn't say this. Just don't go out publicly.
No, not at all. We're filming it, but no, it won't.
All right, cool. So I'm assisting Harry Redknapp for Soccer Aid, which is a bit bonkers, I might add. But Mo Farah's on the team, and I was sat at home with a glass of champagne. I remember it so vividly. I was running the family business in Covent Garden in currency, because I left football to go and do that for 2 years. And he was running the 5,000 metres, and I was, also my phone rang. It was the chairman of Chelsea. And he called and said, "Hi, my name's Pete Stewart, and one of your former players who's here at the club has recommended you for the job." I said, "I'll take it." Because...
But that's a great negotiation, was it?
Yeah, I mean, as I always say to people, there's always an assumption that people's expectations are money, and mine certainly, I'm not motivated by that. However, 5 years prior to that, when I sat down with the only clairvoyant I've ever sat down with, only once, because my teacher told me to do it, about deciding to take over from Vic Akers or take the job in St. Louis or the job in Chicago. And I knew in my heart I wanted Chicago. And I sat down and she went, "Don't take that job. That is a disaster." Of course I took it, and I got sacked 2 years later. And it was a disaster, but for the right reasons. And that failure and setback with that. And she said, the first thing she said to me is, "Oh my God, you're going to do amazing things with Chelsea." And I said, "But I'm not even here to talk about Chelsea. I'm here to talk about Arsenal." So she said, "Chelsea is, you're going to do things that you're completely unaware of yet." So when I got the phone call, that's all I thought of was that moment. And I tell you, I refuse to go back to the clairvoyant, because I'm terrified of what she might tell me. I don't really want to know the life expectancy thing.
So you walk into Chelsea.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
You've been successful as an assistant, now this is it's your blueprint, your plan.
Yeah.
What are the first things you think about? What are the first things you're going to do to make the success?
Opportunity. That's all I saw. Was, oh my God, this is amazing. This is incredible. And the currency business is paying my mortgage, so I'm not going to worry about being sacked. And that's easy to say, because a lot of us have to worry about that.
Of course.
But because I wasn't relying on it, I was part-time for maybe 4 years. I was part-time. Even when we won the double, I was part-time. And I kept saying, I can have the difficult conversations upwards. And I did.
Because
I was like, if you're going to get rid of me, it doesn't matter.
Get rid of me.
And of course you have to have you have to find the right opportunities, the right tact.
And the right language, the right word.
Yeah, sure.
But the courage is there.
Oh yeah, I had such a great relationship with our chairman, Bruce Park. I always have done, because as an American, I'd just been working for guys like him for 10 years, so I thought, oh, this is a piece of piss. Sorry.
And did it prove so? Over time?
Oh, it's been a joy. You won't hear 5 years later, oh, Chelsea was this. I've loved every minute of it. I feel like I've been part of a family that embraced me. We were the right fit. They trusted me. At every step of the way, and I've always spent the money like it was my own. In every decision, in every transaction, hiring a member staff, signing a player. In fact, in those early years, I did buy players myself, because we didn't have the budget. And I used the currency business. I didn't tell my dad at the time. But I snuck a transfer in once for it.
From the currency business?
Yeah, he still doesn't know.
That's commitment.
It's what you do. It's what you do.
No, it's what you do.
I guess. It's what I did then. It's what I did.
So it's your club. You've taken it to heart there.
I hate it. I hate when I interview at the end of the game and I say it kills me, because it's not, it's ours. It's everyone's, it's every single person involved. And it's just a habit, you say, because you're the manager, you're the front and centre all the time. I didn't choose to do this job for notoriety. I do it because I love it. I do it because I love coaching, but you can't help it. You've got press conferences like every 15 minutes nowadays. You can't get out of the obligations that go with the profession, but
you never come over as though it's a chore. What comes over...
To myself, I do.
Maybe, but what comes over for us who are listening to it is passion, enthusiasm, and a straightforwardness that's quite surprising.
Yeah, no, that for sure. But I always use the opportunity to talk to my players, if not to talk to the board, because I'm never really talking to anyone else. Every press conference I do, I'm either talking to them or I'm talking to someone upstairs.
So you're in probably the toughest, nail-biting league chase that we've probably ever seen in the women's game. You and Arsenal, it's neck and neck. How do you manage yourself and the players through such a neck and neck, nail biting? It's going to go to the wire.
I love it. I love every minute. I think I might have felt differently years ago. Now I just can experience. I enjoy it more. I take it in more. I feel that's my case, the beauty of the previous experiences. But I sort of reflect and think, I don't know how much longer this is going to last. So don't wish it away. Don't want to be anywhere else. Stay as present as possible. And I love it every week. I'm there with I love the fans. I sing with the fans all week. I sit on the bench. People don't know this half the time. I'm singing with them the favourite team songs. And I'm having a ball. I'm really enjoying it. I think we put ourselves under enough pressure. I'm a parent of a 4-year-old. That's enough stress in itself. I've got to get through getting up, getting a gym workout in the morning, getting to school, get to work, manage 40 people. I need to keep the cortisol calm on match day, because being a football manager, having 3 games a week is like having 3 hangovers but without the booze. And that is hard. Do you imagine that? You're adrenaline of a game, and then you've got the crash the following morning. Yesterday I was like that.
So what happens when you drop points surprisingly, as recently we have?
I have certain rules in place. One is I won't read anything for 2 days, maybe a week. I'll block it out completely.
The negative press.
Yeah, no, I won't go near it. It wouldn't affect me because I won't. I'll shut it out. It's affected me when I was at Chicago, when I got sacked. The early days of Twitter, I was like, oh my God, what they saying? Now I'm like, no, I'm not. Ignore that. Go and play with Harry. Take him out for the day. Go and do something for myself. And take time to reflect before I speak to others. Nothing's worse than speaking to people with high emotion, especially after a game. Like, come out of that, review, reflect, let it out with the people you need to. It's not that I'm not going to say, it's not good enough. Of course I will, but you've got to do that in the right space, in the right way, then shape the right thoughts from there, and then create the right plan. Listen, this is the only job, I say this to players, this is the only job, this is what one of our team performance guys say to me, where you get sacked on a Friday and rehired again on a Monday. So, yes. Every week I have to face the realities of picking just 11 players and 10 that are not going to be in. And
those 10 who are not going to be in, how do you keep them part of the team, part of the experience, and up for it, even though many of them will be very disappointed?
Probably in different ways, and no one way, and none of them always the right ways. You get it wrong more often than not, but just like have the difficult conversations. Don't avoid them. That's what I think is important. It's important to go up to someone and say, listen, this is the reason I've gone with the team and why we're doing this. I'm sure you're going to be personally disappointed by it, but I tell you what, tomorrow the impact from the bench doing this and this is going to be critical about how we're going to come through that. Sometimes I might manage that. Sometimes I might have 3 games in a week and say to a player, listen, I'm going with this, but for sure you're starting Sunday, so you need to be ready for that. For others, they might not want it. Some they'll go to an assistant. It's finding who might work best. For some players, and I've learned over the years how different they all are, and it's easier for me to talk to the ones that are like me, really easy, but the ones that are not, that are a little more introverted, a little more blue, might be a bit more passive aggressive, that I have to focus on how I communicate with them the right way. And often I'll bring them into my office, have the meeting, then I'll say to them, tell me what was it I said to you? Because more often than not you'll say, it might even be 2 things. They'll only remember the one negative anyway. If it's back to the imposter syndrome, for sure I will have many of those players who will be like, she said I'm not good enough, for example, instead of you're amazing at this is brilliant, but you could do better in this area. They might get stuck on that. So I get them to write it down, but my way of dealing with the next generation now is we WhatsApp it. I say, when you leave the office, WhatsApp what you understood from this, just so we're clear. There's no misunderstanding then.
So you're constantly changing
Oh, I
to a
have to.
constantly changing environment.
Yeah, have to adapt to this generation, They're not going to say it in the same way. They'll feel it, but they won't necessarily articulate in the same way. They'll go away and they might write you a long essay on whatever, they won't say it to your face. Some will, but over time, but some of that might just come in general chit-chat.
I read a really moving interview of Beth England.
Oh.
As she's gone full circle.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And she was so open about some of the mental health issues, how she suffered, and she was so grateful to her teammates and the club.
You know, it's, as I said before, you can only pick 11 players. So you imagine the external pressures there are for those players if they're not playing, from their family, for their agents. And often they can be the worst people for them players. Psychologists can be important. People who can tell them the truth. We talk about it a lot internally. Someone who can be honest with you, because so often we go and we talk to our friends and they tell us what we want to hear. But to be able to hear the things you don't want to hear, to take it on board, to grow and mature, because we forget that they are 20-year-olds, 21, 22, 23, 24, I'm 45. You do get to really see the differences. And then, in fact, Beth, someone, she wouldn't mind me saying, I watched her mature so much this half of the season, and guess what? Gets in the team, performances come. The minute there's the full circle for her of, you know, being a real top star, PFA player of the year, an injury, the fall, and now all of a sudden. So I actually used a video of her. Sorry, Vic, I know you're in the room, but actually it's not about the football. I want to talk about the response from the sending off, because that's all I did with the team in the review today. So we had one player that walked over to the huddle where the players were congregated, and she said, Beth, you're going off. And I could see the personal, physical manifestation for her and how she was battling with that. Then I watched her teammates high-five her and put their arm around her. And I watched, and the team watched it today, and then she walked over and she walked straight over to the touchline. She looked at the fans, she went like that. And I thought, God, just what? And she looked at me, and in the past she might have just walked past me because that would have been difficult. Even though I have a rule, come on, you got to high-five your manager. Even if you're mad. These are just standards. I said, Beth, I'm so sorry because I have to do what the team... She said, you need to do what the team needs. And if that's what the team needs right now, then that's what we will do. And I told the team that's what she said to me. And then she sat down, and all I could hear in the second half was, Beth, come on, girls, keep going. And I thought to myself... You
could see her jumping up and down when the goals went in.
Yeah, I mean, they're the things... It's so easy, no disrespect. Oh, they win the game because they've got top players. Oh, come on. We do. There's no question. But might have been many a time, many a game over many years. There's no way we'd have clawed it back. But the character, the resilience within the group, the belief, the confidence, that's been worked on, but not all from happy places, trust you me. They've come from the most difficult places, and most importantly, the most difficult conversations. We have those difficult conversations internally about... and we rehearse them and go over them again and again, like, yeah, we can talk about certain things. And normally what happens, you work through it, train it, go through a game, people freeze, come back to the drawing board again, then some less, then you keep working on the processes, keep refining the processes. And for me, it felt like a military operation, those 4 minutes. That's what I was watching. I was like, what was my job? My job's really easy here. Because I'm quick to act, I need to do my job with that. Half-time, I'm doing that, you two are out, you two are in, and here's why. And said it to the two players at half-time, you're out, and here's why. And I really appreciate this is difficult, but I need to hear you on the bench. I just try and give them a role in that. And like I said, none of it's perfect, but it was a great moment.
You're there to support all of the team. Yeah. You're there, you'll give them straight talking, but you will care about it later.
Yeah.
Where do you go for care? Who do you go to? Who cares for you?
You know what? I think I have it in so many places, and I've learnt to get it in so many places because you need it. It might be that I've got a mentor, is a woman who sacked me in Chicago. She's now a mentor of mine, and I might go to her for one thing, an old school teacher, family, my son, although he always puts me under more pressure than the rest because he just keeps saying every day, "Have you got a medal, Mummy?" It's like, thanks, boy. But no, I keep your friends. You know, I know who my friends are. I know, but I like to. My family know how to be with me after a game, especially after a loss. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone for 2 days. Let me go and walk. Let me go up the park with the baby. Let me go and do those things, soft play. Let me go and play Avengers or trains, or let me do all of that. That's a real release for me. And I'll come back to the real world in a little bit once I've worked through my feelings.
So Emma, you know yourself so well. You know your environment really well. I'm sitting here close up to you and it's so natural, it's so honest, it's authentic, it's fantastic. But this is a tough whole season. The pressure's building towards the end. It could be the groundbreaking signature season, or you might end up empty-handed.
2014, we lost the title by 2 goals. We got to the last game and the team couldn't manage the pressure, and we lost to Man City, and Liverpool won it on that day because we'd lost by 2 goals on goal difference. I've been here before. Is it the worst thing in the world? I'm sure it would make the summer tough. It's really not the worst thing in the world, let's be frank. It's not. There's war going on, there's a lot of challenge and difficulty worldwide. It's just not the worst thing in the world. And I have a job that I'm lucky to have a job, people I'm passionate to work with. I'm going to enjoy it. Nothing's going to get in the way of that. Not right now.
Not ever, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. Not at this point. Like, I enjoy it. I don't know. I'm enjoying it in a way. Maybe being a parent changed that for me, but I'm enjoying watching the game grow. I'm enjoying watching a number of female coaches come through. I'm enjoying the national team. I hope will have a fabulous summer. I think they will. I really do. Coverage regularly, Sky, BBC. Like, this is all that I really wanted for the game.
I can't help feeling that this is your dream job and a dream moment for you.
I know, but I still wanted to solve a humanitarian crisis somewhere for someone else, or solve some Russian riddle somewhere for MI5 or MI6. But that was the other job in life.
Yeah, that's. I guess that. Well, closing piece. I mean, it's been. It feels like we started talking 2 minutes ago, Emma. And that's a hell of a gift, hell of a capability. For our audience, who have stayed behind to listen to you, and I think everyone I will say everyone knows just how privileged we are. But the world's in a tough old place at the moment.
Yeah, it is.
And we're all we're in a cost of living crisis. And for many people, it's the really tough moment. We thought we're heading out of the pandemic. Give a word to people in this room who are leaders, who are in tough places and having to care for those who it may not be their greatest moment. You've lived that. What advice, what reflection would you share with us?
You know, I think the importance of, we're blessed, we're privileged to be in the positions we are, but surround yourself with people that can help with that. Know you're doing your best job. Don't give yourself such a hard time all of the time. And just keep finding ways to grow and learn for the people you represent, because the bigger your growth mindset, the bigger it will be for them. And remember, it is a privilege, because pressure is paying bills at the end of the month, or is trying to escape a war-torn country, or that is the reality. And I always think that we are in a very lucky position, and remember to enjoy every minute. We're too busy rushing to get to the next place. Stay still for a bit.
Please, please, please join me.
Thanks.
Emma.
Thank you.
Unforgettable.
Thank you.
Unforgettable. And if you don't mind me saying, everything you say is in your image, in the image of the club that's Chelsea, in the image of the team that's Chelsea. We are very, very privileged. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.